Good morning, everybody. Back working on the Dakota today. In just a second, I'm going to give you an update on what I've done over the past couple weeks. Unfortunately, I did some filming when we were doing the fuel system, and I've lost a lot of that footage. I don't know what happened. I had an issue with an SD card, and I've lost film on showing how to make PTFE lines and how to add the fittings and stuff to them. But in this description, I'm going to put a link up to Monkey Fabrication Garage, which is where I bought the fittings and the PTFE line. Really reasonably priced. I believe the Dash 6 line was like $4.90 a foot. The Dash 8 line was like $5.20 a foot. So like I got 13 foot of each, and it was like right at $100 for tons of line for the fuel system. So that's awesome. But I had filmed on how to put it together, and I don't know what happened to that. So on his website and in the description below, he shows you how to build the fittings on the PTFE line, and it's really simple, and it's the first time I've actually done some AN lines and it actually worked right away. So check that out if you're looking for that PTFE line. Remember, PTFE line is E85 compliant. It's got a nylon liner inside of the steel braided hose as well as the fabric braid. So pretty cool product, and now my fuel system is E85 compliant. I will go over how I added the new fuel pump to the factory tank. So you'll see that in this video, but the lines and stuff I didn't get. I don't have the video, and I also don't have the video on making the transmission lines, which kind of stinks. Here are the PTFE fittings, and they actually, let me take one apart real quick. They're pretty cool because this is the part that actually goes into the line, and once that's in there, it's sealed, and this is what's called an olive, and he talks about how this is not a crush sleeve. You actually don't crush this. It just helps hold the line on, and once I make the lines, we'll go over that process. He also has a great demonstration video on how to assemble these online. So if you're not sure what PTFE line is, if you can see there, it has a nylon inner liner, and then it's steel braided with the fabric braid on the outside. What's cool about this is, one, the fittings hook up pretty easily, but two, this is E85 compliant, and I plan on running E85 in the truck, which is also why I bought the Sniper fuel pump, because it is E85 compliant. And anyway, so we got a lot of really cool stuff, but now let me show you the fuel pump itself, the assembly. So again, this is where I lost some footage on my GoPro, but I wanted to show you guys, this is the factory fuel sending unit that I bought brand new. The reason I bought one brand new is because my old one, the fuel gauge did not work. So I was already planning on doing that, plus I had converted it to a carburetor pickup way back in the day. So I had no intention of using the one that was already in it, so I bought a brand new one. The only difference is I found out when I bought a brand new one that the lower half where the fuel pump goes was bonded together to the top half. You can see a scribe mark here where I carefully cut it open with a Sawzall. And then I'll show you guys how I put it all back together after we got the new Holley fuel pump in place. Okay, so carefully cut the bottom off of this because it was bonded here, and it wasn't serviceable any other way. So cut it off. I'm gonna try to get this fuel pump out so I can put the Holley one in. Alright, so since I already cut the bottom off, I can now remove the fuel pump. I went ahead and clipped the lines because I couldn't get that out. Looks like it's held in there. But this is the stock fuel pump in the Dakota, and it is way too weak to power the fuel rails and injectors on the 5.3. So I cut the fuel line off, and I cut these two little wires off, and I pulled this rubber thing out. And what's important about this rubber thing is I can actually put it onto the Holley fuel pump, and I'm doing it to where the notch is on the opposite side of the send. I'm going to get it all in place there. Looks good. And then I'm going to actually throw it back into the unit. And what's cool about this, I tested this earlier, is once you get it in there, kind of work it in. You can see it's pretty flush in there. This sucker looks good up here, right? It will not come out unless you really put some tension on it. So I don't think I'm going to have to do anything further to secure this pump in line. But I am going to have to figure out something for the bottom. So let me get that real quick. Okay, so this is the top piece, and it just goes on over these little indentions on the very top. Not a big deal. This comes off with just a screwdriver. This I had to cut off, and there was a whole fuel pump assembly. It had this complicated filter on it, which is pretty cool, but probably pretty restrictive, and it's not going to work with this Holley fuel pump. So I took all that out, threw it away, and I drilled out the cross section here for the out on the bottom. So what I'm going to have to do is find a way to get this to go back together here, and it will. However, I'm concerned that if this fuel pump goes out on drag week and I'm going to have to fix it, it has to be serviceable. So I was going to try to kind of plastic weld this stuff back together, but I don't think I'm going to do that anymore. I think I'm going to take 2 pieces of metal strap and drill a hole and then put them together that way. But first, I actually lost the fuel screen for this Holley. It's somewhere in this garage and I can't find it. But I did find one that I think is actually going to work better. So this is for a 94 Mustang GT, and it has a 13/16 opening, and it actually fits on the fuel pump exactly the way we would like it to go. So the other one was long, and I don't think it's going to fit down in this hole the way we would like it to. So I'm going to try to go ahead and put this on now. Excellent, that went on nice and easy. And then I'm going to put this over the top of it and see if we need to make any adjustments. Okay, so this has been a job, and I really couldn't film and figure out what I was doing at the same time, so let me try to show you what we got going on. I've got a piece of, I think it's either 5/16 or 3/8 hose that goes into the flexible hard hose here. If you look way down there, you might be able to see it's hooked up to the fuel pump. I've got my fuel pump wires coming out of here. They're gonna have to be a bigger gauge because this pulls a 30 amp draw. And then what I did to get everything secured is I showed you that black I don't know what you want to call it, isolator holds this in pretty well. And then I ran 2 pieces of coat hanger and then hose clamped them here. And then lastly, I cut out this entire hole so that the stock can fit through. The more I looked at this is less for fuel slosh than it is for holding the thing on the bottom of the tank. So that's kind of what that's for. So it's not a big deal that there's holes in it and that I cut the thing off. I cracked it, so this is a repair, so don't pay attention to that. But what I did do is I made these brackets here in here so that when I put the bottom on, the stocks comes through, and I'm going to be able to secure this with 2 nuts and bolts on this side and the same thing on this side, and then it'll be the same height again, so it'll look just like it was supposed to. And that's been a job. You guys can ask me questions on it. I don't know if I recommend this. We'll find out how well it works. You might want to do a different method or alternative fuel system when you set your own up. But anyway, I'm gonna finish bolting this up, and then we'll be ready to put it in the tank. Alright, so I'm gonna show you this fitting. It's a -6 AN to 5/16 SAE, and it's a slip-on fitting. And what it does is it has this piece that unbolts that goes on the front of here, and then this one goes on here and they thread in. I'm going to put a little oil on that first, just because I want a little bit of lubrication, because there's an O-ring involved. There she goes. It just threads on. Super simple. And then I'll tighten it here in just a second. Cool. Okay, so since I'm limited on space here, I'm going to do something that might be frowned upon. And it's 11/16 back here. I'm going to use a 5/8 deep socket to tighten her all up. It doesn't have to be very tight. In fact, that's it right there. Okay. Alright, now the next side. This is a -8 to a 3/8 fitting, and again it's an adapter style, so we can use AN lines on these fittings. The ring goes over, and here she goes. Oh wow. Okay. This one is an 11/16. So what's the other side? Is it also an 11/16? Look at that. Yes, it is. Okay. So this one shouldn't be too bad. 11/16 there. 11/16 here. That's O-ring sealed it up. So the seal's not back here. It's on that O-ring. So as long as it's tight, you're good to go. Now I'm curious. This is the -8. Oh man, is that gonna be really, really close? Let's see if we got room. Let's pray. Oh my God, that's so close. It's gonna work though. I'll be dang. Woo! There's no room for manipulation there. So, but it'll work. So, geez, that's tight. That's what she said. Yeah. It was below me. Low hanging fruit, but I went for it. Okay. All right. Besides that, I'm gonna put a connector on this, because it's gonna have to have at least like a 10 gauge wire that comes to that power. Okay, so I threw that plug on there, so I don't have to worry about that anymore. And when I run that 10 gauge wire to it, we'll be good to go. As long as I remember which one's positive and negative, right? And throw the last piece on here now. Ta-da! Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, she's on. This does nothing. I've tried to blow air through it, does nothing, but it plugs up this hole, so it's pretty important that we don't leave that open. This will go to the fuel tank level center. This is my, what do you call it, vent tube. There you go. And then, yeah, our AN fittings are on. Alright, this nastiness is what it took to wipe down the tank. Just make sure nice and clean. Okay, here goes nothing. Taking some extra time to make sure this thing seats right. And there it is. Alright. What did I do last time? That was alright, I'm pretty proud of that. That was a lot of work to get that thing ready, but it's gonna work. Now I gotta make some fuel lines, which I'll probably get started on tomorrow. I think I'm gonna clean up out here and call it a night. So on the right side here, this is my -6 return line. It's about 9.5 feet, just a little over. And then this is my -8 fuel line with the filter in place. It's a 10 micron filter that's going to mount to the frame. And what I'm going to do today is I'm actually going to hook all this stuff up to my fuel tank while it's sitting on the ground, and then hook it up to the fuel rail with these fittings here, and tighten everything up. And then I'm gonna power up the fuel, put some gas in it, and then I'm gonna power up the fuel pump and then check and see if I have any leaks. The reason I'm doing that is because I cannot see these two fittings when it's up and underneath the truck to find out if they're leaking or not. And I've never had the best luck with AN lines, but these PTFE lines are supposed to be pretty simple and easy to seal. So I'm going to tighten all this stuff up real quick and get it running the truck and see what happens. All right, here we go. I got the battery hooked up to the relay for the fuel pump. It's going into the fuel pump there. I have fuel in the tank, and it's going to go all the way up to the fuel rail. And I have it on a switch so that I can turn it off quick if I need to. And I also have a fire extinguisher if I need to. So, as nervous as this makes me, although it shouldn't, because it shouldn't be a problem, I'm going to try it out. Okay guys, having an issue with my GoPro, but I'll use my cell phone here. Got it all hooked up. I get a little bit more room doing that. Yep. So when I press the button, hopefully you guys can hear that. The fuel pump turns on. I have no leaks on the pump itself, which is great. I've got no leaks over on the fuel rail, no leaks in the fuel filter. So that is awesome. Making a lot of noise. I wonder if I'm filling a cylinder with the stuck injector. But I think maybe it's just supposed to make a lot of noise. First time I've smelled fuel around a truck. It's kind of interesting. But man, I think we're good to go. This is great. So now I can put the fuel system together for good and then work on the rest of it. It's not far from running, guys. Alright, well here it is done. We got the fuel tank up in place. You can see the AN lines going to the tank there. Then I have them routing down the frame. So I've got them coming down the frame. I'm about to put some fasteners in there that it will allow to hold the cable up. So that the body mount and then up to the fuel rail. Okay guys, I got one more update for you on the fuel system. This is the stock fuel rail for the 5.3, and this is actually the stock fuel pressure regulator on the 5.3. Well, what I had to do is I had a feeling that I was blowing past this regulator. It has a very, very tiny outlet that leads back to the return, and this is the return right here. There's an article online, and I'll post it in the description, on how you can basically gut this, pinch the tip right here, and then solder it up so it's sealed. And I've actually already done that, and I've actually already tested it, and it's good to go. So it's actually just free flowing from the send to all the fuel rail and then to the return. And this is actually not functional anymore. It's just in place to make sure we don't have leaks, so I can still use the stock rails. In doing so, I wanted to make sure that I had the right fuel pressure and everything. So I bought a Fuel Lab high pressure E85 regulator, and I've actually got it set to 55. You can see that the return line right here goes all the way up into the bottom of it. And then this actually goes to the fuel rail. And I don't have a fuel rail in place, but what I've done is I've got my send down there that goes all the way up to the fuel rail. Then it'll go through the fuel rail, come out, and then come into the regulator where the pressure gets set, and then sent back down to the gas tank. This is much more reliable than the stock one. There are people that say that you can run this fuel pump or even a higher fuel pump with the stock fuel rail, but I just don't trust it. I don't believe it. So I just went ahead and bought the external fuel pressure regulator, which is good because if I ever want to run boost or anything else like that, I have the reference port, and I'll be able to use this setup. So this setup is full E85 compatible. That's an E85 compatible fuel pressure regulator. It's got an E85 compatible fuel pump. It's literally set up for a lot more than it's going to handle now, and it actually was probably around a total about $500 for the fuel system complete, and that's actually not that bad. And the thing is, if I ever want to go boost, I don't have to worry about the fuel system. I can just continue to go on. It's good to like 500 to 700 horsepower. So who knows what holds in the future, but it's also going to be fine for now as a stock motor. But anyway, I want to give you that last update. Thank you guys for coming along. The next video, you're actually going to see us try to fire it up. You kind of have to see how it goes. But anyway, it's getting really, really close, guys. Won't be much longer, and we'll be rocking on down the road with this thing. So thank you guys for checking it out. Subscribe to the page if you haven't yet. Give us a like and a thumbs up. Say hi to us in the comments. You know, the usual stuff. And we'll see y'all next time. Y'all be good.